We don't need outdated employees like you. The CEO laughed in front of the entire board. I smiled and said, good luck explaining to the investors why all our systems will crash in 30 minutes. My name is Nathan Sullivan. I'm 49 years old, and until that moment I was the Chief Technology Officer of Quantum Industries, a company I helped build from a garage startup into a $200 million enterprise software giant. Marcus Pemberton, our CEO, had that arrogant smirk he wore whenever he thought he was being clever. The same expression when taking credit for my AI-driven logistics platform or announcing the DataSync Solutions acquisition, without mentioning I'd designed their integration strategy. I placed my security badge and laptop on the table. The room went silent. 12 board members stared, most avoiding eye contact. What exactly are you implying? Marcus asked, his smile faltering. I checked my watch. The automated security protocol I implemented 6 months ago. Every 30 days, our system performs a complete reset, requires manual authorization from the CTO to restart operations. Board member Sandra Phillips shifted uncomfortably. What does that mean? In 28 minutes, every server, database, and software that runs this company shuts down. Without my authorization codes, everything stays offline. Marcus went pale. You're bluffing. I walked toward the exit. The Fletcher Industries presentation starts in 45 minutes. $60 million contract. You might want to figure out how to turn the lights back on. The chaos began when I reached the elevator. Through the glass walls, I could see Marcus frantically gesturing while board members pulled out phones. Someone was calling it. Another demanded legal be contacted. I descended to the parking garage. My BMW was parked in spot 247, same location for 12 years. The spot Marcus had tried to reassign to his son-in-law last month. 26 minutes remaining. My phone started buzzing. Marcus's name flashed repeatedly. I let it ring while I sat behind the wheel, remembering how this partnership had begun. Quantum Industries started in Marcus's garage in 2011. I wrote code for small businesses. Marcus handled sales. We were genuine partners, splitting everything 50-50, working 18-hour days. The first warning came 4 years ago with the Denver municipal contract. I spent 10 months designing their traffic management system, working weekends to ensure every sensor and protocol functioned perfectly. When the mayor held the press conference, Marcus stood alone at the podium, talking about his team's innovative solution. I watched from the back as he took credit for every line of code I'd written. My wife Sarah saw the truth before I did. She'd listened to me complain about meetings where Marcus dismissed my suggestions only to present them as his own the following week. He's using you, she told me 8 months ago. When he's squeezed every innovation out of you, he'll discard you like outdated hardware. I defended him, claimed he was under pressure from investors. I made excuses because I couldn't accept that my business partner had become my biggest threat. 22 minutes left. Warning signs accelerated recently. Marcus excluded me from board meetings, claiming they focused on high-level strategy. He hired assistant CTO Kyle Morrison, supposedly to ease my workload. Kyle spent time in Marcus's office, learning my systems, asking about undocumented protocols. 3 weeks ago, I caught Kyle copying files from my secured folders. When confronted, he claimed Marcus authorized it for backup purposes. When I asked Marcus directly, he mentioned an IT audit that never materialized. Last week, Marcus asked about my access credentials. He said the board was concerned about security protocols, wanted multiple people authorized for critical functions. If you're watching this corporate betrayal unfold and wondering how far some people will go for power, hit that subscribe button because Marcus is about to learn that some knowledge can't be stolen or replicated. The call came exactly when expected. Marcus's voice was tight with panic. Nathan, we need to discuss this rationally. No, we don't. Maybe I was hasty. The board's been pressuring me, demanding cost cuts. I was trying to protect the company. By firing the person who built it? Silence. Then, what do you want? Stock options? Consulting contract? I almost laughed. 5 minutes ago, he'd humiliated me. Now he wanted to negotiate. For 12 years, I've worked nights and weekends building systems that made you wealthy. I've covered your technical mistakes, fixed your problems, watched you take credit for my innovations. You brought Kyle in to study my work so you could eliminate me. You've been planning this for months. Through the phone, I could hear voices shouting, keyboards clicking. Someone was racing to the server room, thinking they could manually override the shutdown. They couldn't. I'd built multiple protection layers, safeguarding company data even from the company itself. What do you want? Marcus asked, desperation evident. I want you to remember this moment. For 12 years, I was loyal, believed in our partnership. You destroyed that because you were afraid of looking weak. 18 minutes remaining. The Fletcher presentation starts in 30 minutes, $60 million. Without the demonstration system, you have nothing. Without the client database, you don't even have their contact information. How do I fix this? You don't, I said, and ended the call. The shutdown lasted 6 hours and 12 minutes. I watched news coverage from Murphy's Coffee House downtown. Technical difficulties plague software company. Scrolled across the screen while a reporter interviewed confused employees sent home. My phone rang constantly. Marcus called 23 times, Kyle called 11. Board members left frantic voicemails threatening legal action. At 4:47 p.m., building lights returned. They'd manually restarted core systems, probably rebuilding from backup drives. It would take weeks to restore full functionality. At 5:15 p.m., an unfamiliar number called. Mr. Sullivan, this is Jennifer Walsh from Walsh, Patterson & Associates. We represent Quantum Industries regarding today's incident. A lawyer. Marcus was building a case. I haven't violated any laws. Sabotage is serious, intentionally disrupting systems causing financial harm. The district attorney might find your actions interesting. I implemented a security protocol to protect company data. The system functioned as intended. You created a situation where only you could restore operations. I created a situation where the CTO had to authorize restarts. I was the CTO until 2:30 p.m. today. She paused. The Fletcher contract was lost due to your actions. $60 million in revenue. We're prepared to pursue damages in the hundreds of millions. The contract was lost because Marcus fired his CTO minutes before a critical presentation. Poor management isn't my responsibility. Any legal action against me will result in full disclosure of Quantum's security vulnerabilities. Every backdoor, every unpatched system, every shortcut Marcus approved against my recommendations. The line went quiet. I hung up and ordered another coffee. 30 minutes later, Marcus called again. Nathan, we need to meet. No lawyers, just us. I agreed to meet at Murphy's. Marcus arrived with Kyle trailing behind. They sat across from me, Marcus looking haggard, Kyle avoiding eye contact. What's it going to take to resolve this? Richard asked without preamble. Resolve what? The legal threats, the security vulnerabilities, all of it. Name your price. I leaned back. You think this is about money? Everything's about money, Nathan, you know that. That was Richard Blackwood in essence. Every relationship reduced to financial transactions, every partnership measured in profit margins. Tell me something, I said. How long have you been planning to fire me? Richard glanced at Kyle. It wasn't personal. How long? 8 months, maybe 10. The board wanted operational changes, younger leadership, reduced costs. Kyle's salary is half what we were paying you. 10 months. While I was designing the Fletcher Industries proposal, Richard was already planning my departure. While I was training Kyle, thinking I was mentoring a colleague, he was studying my job so he could eliminate me. Kyle slid a folder across the table. Inside was a consulting agreement offering me $75,000 to provide technical transition assistance for 90 days. 75,000, I said, for 12 years of institutional knowledge. It's generous considering the circumstances, Richard replied. I read the contract. Standard non-disclosure clauses, non-compete restrictions, and a section requiring me to provide complete documentation and access credentials for all systems developed during my employment. They wanted everything I'd built, every password, every security measure, every innovation. In exchange, they'd pay me what Richard probably spent on client dinners. There's one problem with this, I said. What's that? You assume I want to work with you. Richard's expression hardened. Nathan, be realistic. You're unemployed, facing potential criminal charges, and your industry reputation will be destroyed when word spreads about today. I smiled and closed the folder. Richard, do you know who called me this morning? He looked confused. At 8:15 a.m., before I arrived at the office, I received a call from Michael Sterling at Fletcher Industries. He wanted to discuss a position as their new Director of Information Technology. Kyle's eyes widened. Richard went pale. They've been watching my work for months, impressed with the municipal contracts I've handled. The job pays 3 times what you were paying me, plus equity and signing bonus. You're lying, Richard whispered. I showed him my call log. 9 missed calls from Fletcher Industries between 8:15 a.m. and 3 o'clock p.m., all from Michael Sterling. He called during your board meeting, left a voicemail asking about my availability. Funny thing is, he already knew I was leaving Quantum. The truth hit Marcus. Sandra Phillips, the board member who'd pushed hardest for my removal, was the former CEO of Fletcher's main competitor. She'd been feeding information to Fletcher for months. Sandra orchestrated this, Marcus said quietly. She's been recruiting me since March. Discreet conversations at conferences, questions about job satisfaction, hints about better opportunities. I declined because I thought I owed you loyalty. Kyle stared at the table, realizing his new position might be less secure than promised. But today changed everything. When you humiliated me, you made it clear that 12 years of partnership meant nothing. Marcus grabbed his phone. I need to call Sandra. Too late. At 6 o'clock p.m. today, Fletcher Industries announces the acquisition of Quantum's intellectual property portfolio. They've purchased exclusive rights to our municipal software, AI logistics platform, and security protocols. That's impossible. We own those systems. You own the code. I own the patents. The silence was deafening. Marcus's mouth opened soundlessly. Kyle looked nauseous. Filed in my name over the past 5 years. Every major innovation, every breakthrough algorithm. My attorney advised me to protect my intellectual property. It was true. My lawyer had recommended filing patents on significant innovations for protection and professional recognition. The municipal system alone is worth $12 million in licensing fees. The AI platform is worth another $20 million. Fletcher estimates the total portfolio value at $48 million. More than the contract Marcus lost by firing me. More than Quantum's annual revenue. Enough to destroy his company if a competitor controlled the technology. You can't do this, Marcus said. I already have. Signed the licensing agreement 2 hours ago. Fletcher gets exclusive rights for 7 years. I get the director position, company equity, and 30% of licensing revenue. What happens to Quantum? Kyle asked quietly. That depends on Marcus. Fletcher is willing to negotiate a licensing agreement. How much? 60% of gross revenue. The bankruptcy filing came 8 weeks later. I was in my new office at Fletcher Industries when my assistant brought the news. Marcus had tried everything. 3 law firms, patent challenges, espionage accusations. Nothing succeeded. The patents were legitimate. The licensing agreement was binding, and my departure had been entirely his choice. He'd attempted to operate without my systems. For 3 weeks, Kyle and contractors tried rebuilding infrastructure from scratch. The results were catastrophic. Databases failed, security breaches occurred, and Denver's traffic system crashed during rush hour. The lawsuits multiplied. Denver sued for breach of contract. 4 other municipal clients terminated agreements. Fletcher Industries captured every abandoned contract. The bankruptcy court approved the asset sale on Thursday morning. Fletcher purchased Quantum's client list and remaining property for less than Marcus owed in legal fees. Sarah met me for lunch near the Fletcher offices. She'd supported me throughout the transition. "Any regrets?" she asked. I considered the question. Marcus had destroyed our partnership, betrayed 12 years of trust, and attempted to steal credit for my work. But his actions had freed me from a toxic situation. "None," I said. At Fletcher, my ideas were valued, my contributions recognized, and my name appeared on every patent. The signing bonus eliminated our mortgage. The stock options would fund early retirement. Marcus was working as a regional sales manager for a database company in Phoenix, making 40% of his former salary. Actions have consequences, and eventually everyone faces the results of their choices. Sometimes justice just takes longer than expected to arrive.